In this video, we are going to render the list here. So I don't want to render manually stories 0.story.image. So it's not a best practice. I'm going to talk about the list rendering concept. So we need to do a little bit refactoring, get rid of this card group div. I also need to remove this div. Oops. Let's change some little bit setting for the styling. Let's add the class column for bootstrap class. Now it looks good. So we need to iterate all the elements from the stories array. I'm going to use the v_for directive. Here we need to provide the alias. Let's say story in from the stories. I can access the list of stories here. So I'm using the v_for directive. It allows us to access all the elements from the array. It should be item and it should be data collection. So let me replace to story dot stories to story dot story image story dot URL. We also need to replace the title story dot title story dot text story dot posted at story dot words. Awesome, cool. I got all the stories here. We have successfully rendered all the items. One thing I also want to show you, you must need to add the key. So vbind, because Vue will create a unique data model for each element, for each story. So that's why I'm gonna use this key here. If you have used the key in the React, the same concept here, story dot, we have to provide the unique ID or the unique key. I have a unique key here, which is the ID. Cannot read property ID. Oops, it should be story, man. Awesome. Now it looks good. If you check the div, inside the div you will see the 3 card elements. The first div with card, second div with card, and the third div with card. So v_for allows to iterate all the items from the list. If you want to learn more about the v_for, I would recommend you to check out the API docs. Go to the VueJs.org, select the API. Here you can find all the directives. Let me show you where are all the directives. We have also used vbind directive. You can learn more about the vbind directive. This is the shorthand syntax. I'll talk more about the shorthand syntax in the later videos. I use this image source. So I'm going to talk about v_for. We have used this method, v_for directive. It's not a method. Render the element or template block multiple times based on the source data. You can read this text. The first one is alias in expressions. So this is our expressions. Stories is an expression. So this is the alias. I would recommend you to read this text. There is another special attribute which is key. We have used this key. You can see that key. vbind item.id. It's a shorthand syntax. I'll talk more about this one. The key special attribute is primarily used as a hint for Vue virtual DOM algorithm to identify v nodes when diffing the new list of nodes against the old list. You have to read this text, man.